Title: Starting Over. Narrated. Introduction. Narrator, in a calm, emotional tone, when everything seems lost. Sometimes life gives you a second chance, though not always in the way you expected. A perfect life. Isabella had it all. A modern apartment, a successful fiancé, a perfectly planned wedding, and a job as a brand manager in a top San Diego agency. But one Thursday afternoon, she came home early. She had forgotten her laptop and found her fiancé, Derek, in bed with another woman. "It's not what it looks like," he said, without much conviction. Isabella didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply left her key on the table and closed the door. That night, with her wedding dress still hanging on the wall, she looked into the mirror, eyes swollen, and whispered, "Who am I? Without him." Running isn't always cowardice. 2 days later, she quit her job, canceled the wedding, turned off her phone, and drove with no destination in mind. She ended up in a small coastal town called Harbor Creek. She rented a modest room near the sea. She knew no one, needed no one. She just wanted to forget. She found a job as a waitress at a local family-owned restaurant. People didn't know her, and that was perfect. She smiled out of habit, served food, listened to music at night, and wrote in her notebook, trying to answer just one question: what do I do with my life now? The man with the red bike. One afternoon, while waiting tables, a man walked in riding a worn-out red bicycle. He was tall, a little scruffy, with calm eyes. He sat in the corner, ordered black coffee, and started sketching in a notebook. His name was Nathan. He wasn't a tourist, nor a local. He worked remotely as a freelance designer and seemed to live without urgency. Sometimes he read, other times he just stared out the window. Isabella was drawn to his quietness, so opposite to her storm. "What are you drawing?" she asked one day. "What I feel," he replied. "Sometimes what you can't say with words, you can draw." She smiled. For the first time, it wasn't fake. Invisible scars. Days passed, then weeks. Isabella and Nathan began to talk more. He never asked about her past. He just listened. One evening, Isabella showed him her notebook filled with scattered thoughts, broken sentences, unanswered questions. "What's this?" he asked. "My head. On paper," she replied. Nathan looked at her gently. "You have the soul of a writer." She laughed. It had been years since anyone saw her like that. Not as the planner, not as Derek's fiancée, but as someone who mattered just for who she was. But just as she was beginning to trust again, the past knocked on her door. The message. One night, while checking emails, she saw a message from Derek. The kind of message sent by someone who doesn't want to lose, not out of love, but pride. "I still think about you. I made a mistake. Come back." She stared at the screen for 10 full minutes. Part of her still hurt, but another part had changed. The next day, without a word, Nathan took her on his red bike to a cliff overlooking the ocean. "Why bring me here?" she asked. "Because sometimes you need a different view, to realize you're not stuck anymore. Free." Isabella never replied to the message. She didn't return to her old city, but she started to truly live again. With Nathan's encouragement, she began writing a novel based on her story. Not for revenge, but for healing. She was finally listening to her own voice. It still hurt, sometimes, but pain no longer defined her. One morning, as they drank coffee by the beach, Nathan said, "Some people come into your life to complete you. Others come to help you find yourself." She looked at him, peaceful for the first time in years. "And I've found me." Motivational ending. You don't always get to choose what happens to you, but you do get to decide who you'll become after everything changes. And sometimes, losing everything is the best way to start over.